It's time, baseball fans, enthusiasts, and devotees, for Dispatches from Detroit, featuring the man that gives Tiger fans the news, the scoops, and the straight dope on all things Motor City, the big guy.
Well, welcome to Cardboard Meditation. I'm the big guy, and this is a dispatch from Detroit. You know, the first two of these that we did, the news was good. You know, there was not a lot of injuries. Good things coming out of Lakeland, Florida. I'm sad to report I can't say that again this time. We've got some injuries, a lot of them, as a matter of fact. I don't know how serious they are. You never really know at this point. But let's just go over the injury report first in your Dispatches from Detroit here on March 8th, 2025. Alex Cobb, he was the first to go down, the pitcher they just picked up and just started tossing the ball before he started having some problems with his hip. He's out for maybe a month. Might see him probably by the end of April. Who knows? Matt Vierling, who is injured. This one might be the most serious of all. It's a right rotator cuff. It's got some soreness. He's going to be out till mid-April, but anytime I hear rotator cuff, it scares me a little bit. Parker Meadows, he still has that nerve issue in his upper right arm. They're claiming that is also some nerve problems there with his rotator cuff. So again, you just never know what you're getting with that. But I did see that he has taken up some stressful baseball activities. I'm not sure what that is, kind of like maybe running and stuff like that. So he is actually doing a little bit, but the jury is still out on how serious that is. Says he should be back soon, but the pain is gone, and so is the tightness, but it's still a little numb at the top of his forearm, is what he's saying. Akil Baddoo has a broken hand. He's going to be out for a while. He wasn't really on the 30-man roster anyway, so we're not sure what's going to happen with him. He's going to be down in Toledo, I would imagine. Javi Baez is actually playing, so he's kind of off the IL for now. I think they're kind of managing what he's doing, but things are looking good with him. He's actually hit the ball and didn't strike out much. Ty Madden is dealing with some rotator cuff strain and is probably ruled out for opening day. He's probably not going to be there for that. Wenzel Perez is suffering from some low back tightness. He's had that for a while, on and off. He could be out for 5 games, but who knows? Who knows what's going on? When I say this, I always say it with I know what I'm talking about, but you never really do because you're never really given the full story. But that's the look here for the injury report for this dispatch from Detroit. Now let's talk about some good news. Let's talk about some good news with Jackson Jobe. This guy is looking really, really amazing right now. He's already throwing 100 miles per hour. You know what? Let's not waste that down in Lakeland. Let's get that going up in Detroit. So I don't want him to get hurt. I know I sound like like somebody who's freaking out every time somebody overdoes it in spring training. It's just that seems to be a place where a lot of guys get hurt, and then they just carry that pain with them all the way up to Detroit. So I just I sound like that mom worried about her kids, don't I? Yeah. Well, Kenta Maeda is looking good this year, and I know that's got some people going, what? Because people were ready to cut him loose last year, and that's what they were hoping to do this year. But this guy's got his stuff together right now and is looking as though he might pull off being a starter this year. Maybe he'll go to the bullpen. We're not sure. But he's got the stuff right now to maybe start. Reese Olson is another ball player who has got to lock in on the starting rotation, I think. He is really, really turning it on this spring. I think he's had 2 starts, and he's looked really good in both of them. He gave up a home run his first start, but this second start, he's really, really looking good, and he might be the 4th starter on that team. We'll find out. Now, I got to tell you, one of the guys that I really enjoy watching, and I was sad about him last year, this year, it's just not looking good for Matt Manning. He's struggling, and I guess my fear is that he's going to be one of the first cuts, and I don't even know if he makes the team in Toledo. I don't know. I hope something happens and he can turn it around and become that guy that I know he's a good pitcher. There's just something stuck between his ears that he's just not following through, I guess. So let's hope that Matt Manning makes that team. We love that guy. Now, some other people who are playing well and playing in places you might not expect are Ryan Kreidler. he has played some center field, a couple of games, I guess. And there's a reason for that because Parker Meadows is down and Matt Vierling is down. So they're going to need some center fielders. They're going to need options, I guess is what they're saying. So that's why he's out there. There's no reason why Riley Green can't come back and play that position. But I think they're looking for somebody to fill in while these two guys, come back from their injuries. Now, on Wednesday, March 5th, Tigers scored 17 runs. And they only gave up 7, which really should, 7 runs. If you give up 7 runs, odds are you're going to lose. But if you score 17, just don't look back. They played against the Phillies, and Jahmai Jones went 2 for 3 with 4 RBIs because he had a grand slam. And the only question I have is, who is Jahmai Jones? I don't know this guy. Well, he was a prospect a few years ago and has played with a few teams since then, but he got invited down to Lakeland, and he's making the most of his invite. He's batting .278, so I don't know if this guy's going to make the team, but he is that guy that you always hear about at spring training. There's always that one guy that just stands above the rest, who you might have never heard of or you didn't really expect great things from the spring, and he's looking like as though he's going to make that team. And that game that they went 17-7 on, Jahmai had the grand slam right after that. Almost one pitch after that, Andy Ibanez hit a home run, and then right after that, Gleyber Torres hit a home run. So that was back-to-back-to-back home runs. Now, let's talk about Javi Baez again. Now, don't get too excited. He had a nice game. He went 1 for 2, 2 RBIs, and a walk. I'm going to say that part again. A walk. Yeah. Javi had a walk. He was patient, and he milked the pitching, and he had a walk. I love that. Tork had a 2-homer night. That's what I love to see. Torkelson's having a pretty decent spring. He's had 3 home runs that I know of this spring. It makes my heart feel good because I think maybe all this panic about him not performing well is just going to be just that, panic. As of the recording of this video, the Tigers are 5 wins, 6 losses, and 1, I guess, tie. So they're not doing too bad. I wouldn't freak out about the record. They're just trying to get these guys playing and find out who's going to be playing where. And that's what they do. They don't worry too much about the record. And one other guy I want to talk about is Thayron Liranzo. Now, this is the guy I'm watching. I think this guy is going to be an amazing ball player in Detroit really soon. I don't think he's 2-3 years away. I think he might be 1 year away. We might see him, and this is just me talking. I haven't heard this from anybody. But you might see him coming up maybe this fall. He's hitting the ball well down in Lakeland and wherever else he ends up. He had a 2-run homer. He had a triple to knock in a run on March 5th, and he legged it out. He legged out that triple. He was a catcher, and he can leg that thing out. So that's the guy I'm watching, and I'm really hoping that he can come up. And there's really, if you think about it, there's just not a lot of room at first base right now. If they got Colt Keith there, Torkelson comes back. Malloy, Henry Malloy played a little bit there last year. I don't recall how many games. There's just a lot of guys playing that position, but if this guy can hit the way that they claim he can, he might be the first baseman of the future. Okay, enough about Thayron Liranzo. Let's talk about the news out of Detroit. Well, I'm not even sure where it's out of. Well, let's just make it out of Detroit because the news came from Detroit. In fact, it came from the Detroit Free Press, and they claim that MLB Pipeline states the Detroit Tigers have the top-ranked farm system. Amazing, isn't it? And they're looking at people like Max Clark and Jackson Jobe. But we're going to take a look at the top 5 that are in that top 100 that the Tigers have. So here they are. The number 1 Detroit Tiger prospect is ranked number 5 in the pipeline, and that's Jackson Jobe. And the consensus is out of Lakeland right now that he is going to be the 3rd starter, maybe 2nd. But we'll see. Just maybe some more seasoning in Toledo and bring him up. I'm not sure. I don't know how to call this stuff because the whole process has changed over the years. The number 2 Tiger out of the system is Max Clark, and he's number 6 overall in the pipeline. He's the outfielder that they think is going to change the world. Number 3 is Kevin McGonigal. He's a shortstop and second baseman, that middle infielder. He can hit. He might be one of the better hitters out of the 5 that we're talking about here. His MLB status is number 28. Number 4 for the Tigers, number 52 out of the pipeline, is Bryce Rayner, who's a shortstop. So you've got McGonigal and Rayner, both shortstops. I'm not sure what you're going to do with that, but it's going to be exciting to find out. And number 5 is Theron Lorenzo, the catcher first baseman that I was so excited about. He's number 81 in the pipeline, but number 5 for the Tigers. So that's exciting. The top prospects are, taking over the lower league right now. It's only a matter of a year before you start seeing these guys actually, not all of them, but at least half of them you're going to see playing in Detroit. That's exciting. Now, last week I had, I guess it was there earlier this week. No, it was last week. Yeah, I had the baseball card Tiger Tail, and that was an exciting one because it was one of my favorite Al Kaline cards. This card is a guy that I gotta think that most Tiger fans don't know about, and it's because he was way back when in the day. It's during the times of Ty Cobb, but most people that love the Tigers and know of that era just know Ty Cobb. They don't know about Sam Crawford. They don't know about Veach and McIntyre and all these guys. And they don't know a whole lot about Heilmann, Harry Heilmann. He's in the Hall of Fame. And if you go to Comerica Park and you look out on that wall, you'll see his name. He was a great ball player. Now, here's some stats for you. He has a 72.2 WAR, 2,660 hits, 183 homers. He batted .342 and had 1,543 RBIs. He played from 1914 to 1932. What is that? That's 18 years. He played for 18 years. Those are the stats that got him into the Hall of Fame. He did some other things that might have a little more meaning to them. We'll talk about that in just a second. But he also was an announcer for the Tigers. And I've got a little treat for you. I've got a recording of one of his broadcasts. So let's take a look right now at this story here that really, when I heard about this years ago, made me wonder what kind of city was Detroit at the time. It was a huge cosmopolitan city back during the days of Harry Heilmann and Ty Cobb and those guys. That was a place to be. But it was also a very busy place with people driving to and fro, and you can get right up to the river. And this is what happened on a night in July of 1916, the 25th of July. Harry was driving around in downtown Detroit, and he noticed that this car had backed off a dock and plummeted right into the Detroit River. He saw this, and he just drove his car right over to the river, and he jumped in from his car, and he worked his way to the passengers, and he managed to save the lives of 3 of the 5 passengers. He couldn't save everybody. A young woman and her daughter, they drowned. Well, Harry was front page news the next day, and it wasn't for his heroism on the field. It was for what he did in the river. And the next day, when Harry took to Navin Field, he received a long-standing ovation. He was loved as a player and a personality in Detroit. And, he had a disaster of a childhood. Not really, I suppose, but he had a family disaster in which his brother was out sailing, and the boat tipped over. And his brother was a great baseball player for high school level kids. And the boat tipped over, and his brother drowned. And at that time, Harry was not a ball player, but he knew how to play. And he kind of took his brother's spot, not knowingly doing so, but he took his spot in history and became a great baseball player. And maybe that was on his mind when he jumped from his car into the river. I don't know. We'll never know. But after his playing days were over, he became an announcer for the Tigers for a long time. And he was one of the favorite people that Tiger fans love to listen to. And I can tell you right now, as a Tiger fan, we love our radio announcers in this state. We love them as they broadcast Tiger games. So, for somebody to love Harry as much as they did, he was pretty special. Here he is.
Hello, baseball fans. This is Harry Heilmann speaking for American Legion Junior Baseball. Today we're all set to bring you a clubhouse interview with a former Legion player who is now one of the brightest stars in the major leagues. We're talking today from the clubhouse of the Detroit Tigers at Briggs Stadium, and right now we have a tall, sinewy left-hander who will pitch today's game. He looks unusually fit. And no wonder the batters in the American League like to be somewhere else when this boy is fogging them in. Fans, we're talking about Hal Newhouser, whom baseball experts consider the best southpaw chucker in the league. How's the old wing feel today, Hal?
Never better, Harry. This is one of those days when the ball feels light as a feather.
Okay, 1940 play ball number 171, Harry Heilmann. And that is the baseball card Tiger Tail for this week. Thanks for tuning me in. We're going to have another one of these dispatches from Detroit soon, so stay alert. We've got some news coming out. I'm sure the cuts are coming real soon, so we'll talk then.
Go get 'em, Tigers! This concludes your dispatch from Detroit. Remember to like and subscribe for more content from the 313, the D from the Motor City.